I had to do something like this for more fluffy foods.
Okay, so I wanted to treat this discussion presentation like how I learn in my class, which is really entertaining. I'm taking international studies, and so on the very first day he had 4 people go up and they had to take a different perspective. So there was the celestial perspective. So you have to pretend you're an angel or whatever, and how God views whatever the situation. And then there was the global perspective, like if you worked in the UN or whatever. And then there was the U.S. perspective, how we as rich U.S. citizens see the rest of the world. And then there was your adopted country. By the way, you are now adopted into Sri Lanka. Congratulations. You're all Sri Lankans. And then I was going to add a 5th perspective, which is the poor college student. Because, you know, it's awesome to talk about this, but we're very idealistic and there's really not that much that we can do. So just keep that in mind. You can raise your hand and be a different perspective anytime you want. So yeah, have you guys heard about the 8 Millennium Development Goals?
No.
No? Okay. So there are 8 goals that I think the UN put together that they wanted to have completed by 2015, and they are end poverty, number 1, universal primary education, gender equality, child health, maternal health, combat diseases such as HIV and AIDS, environmental stability, and global partnership. Kick off.
Well, just with poverty in America in general, what we suffer from is just poor money management. There's a book recommended to anybody called Rich on Any Income, and I lived for 3 months off of $50 a week. And I know, being from a single person, that I do have an advantage being single and stuff, but I also know that anybody can live a very happy and productive life so long as they live within their means.
Mm-hmm.
What our problem, as far as with poverty in America goes, with the family that
mm-hmm.
Shannon mentioned, is our generation is like the entitlement generation.
Mm-hmm.
What we don't realize is that our grandparents and parents lived during the Great Depression, and they knew how to work. They knew how to live within their means, and because of that, they were able to build up these really nice, good lives. Our generation sees that, and we think, oh, that's what we gotta have to be happy,
mm-hmm.
and stuff. And as soon as they get married, they take out massive amounts of loans to get that car, to get that house
mm-hmm.
that they want, when they cannot afford it. We live in an entitlement age where everybody wants things right now. They're not willing to put forth the work and live without it and save up and then get it once they have it.
Mm-hmm. And think of what that's doing to the next generation.
It's going to be worse.
If we can't work and we can't teach them to work, like...
They're either going to have to learn how to work the hard way,
mm-hmm, which they probably will.
Which they probably will. Or, we've got to learn it right now. It'll
mm-hmm.
still be difficult, but it would be easier for us to learn that principle rather than our kids.
Right.
Well, think about like what happened right before the Great Depression. The 1920s, it was a big booming era, and that's when the whole credit system started. The whole buy it now and you can pay for it later,
mm-hmm.
and that's what caused our whole economy to crash. And so yeah, our grandparents had to work extremely hard to get what they have, but our grandparents raised our parents, to be hard workers so they can provide and stuff. And then we get to our generation, and our parents are still working hard just to provide for us, and it's like they've forgotten to raise us how to work as well. Mm-hmm. They don't want us to go through the same things that they went through growing up, and so they've just given us without us having to earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And not all parents are that way. My parents taught me to work.
Okay, so globalization, flattening the world. So we watched this video about saying, if you outsource things, that's flattening the world because there aren't, tiers of people, like the US is at the highest, or China is coming up, or whatever, and India is at the lowest. If you, instead of view it as we need to keep jobs in the United States, rather than we need to just create jobs for everyone, it flattens the world and we're able to communicate and work together. And then we can communicate about problems, and then we can see each other's perspectives. So let's take on a moment the celestial perspective. What do you think God thinks about globalization?
Well, globalization is kind of like jobs for everyone type thing, and no one's better than the other one. So I think that's kind of good for, like, I think God would think that that's a good idea, that we should try to become